As the moon rises over the vast and silent city of King's Landing, the clamor of the day slowly fades into the stillness of the night. The streets, once bustling with voices and the sounds of hurried footsteps, now lie quiet, save for the faint rustle of banners in the cold night breeze. Above, the stars hang like distant lanterns in the velvet sky, casting their pale light onto the stone city below. In the heart of King's Landing, the Great Sept of Baelor stands tall, its ancient stone walls holding centuries of secrets and stories. Yet tonight, it is more silent than ever. The temple, once filled with the echoes of prayers and the footsteps of the devout, now stands in stillness, untouched by the world outside. Within its sacred halls, the air is thick with reverence and age, its chambers untouched by time's relentless march. Tonight, we step into the world of the Silent Sisters, the silent, devoted order within the faith of the Seven, whose role it is to prepare the dead for their final rest. We follow one of these novices, a young sister who has just begun her journey in the solemn beauties of the order. With gentle hands and a quiet heart, she moves through the cold, stone halls of the September, carrying out her rituals with reverence and care. In this quiet, meditative space, there are no grand political intrigues, no battles or wars. There is only the passage of time, the peaceful rhythm of duty, and the sacred act of honoring the dead. Through her soft footsteps and slow, deliberate actions, we experience the stillness of life and death, all set against the backdrop of a city that never truly sleeps. As we follow the novice through the Great Sept of Baelor, let your mind wander, and your heart find peace. Allow the calm rituals of the Silent Sisters to guide you into a world of quiet contemplation and restful serenity, where every flicker of candlelight and every breath taken echoes the calmness of the night. The Great Sept of Baelor, bathed in the soft glow of moonlight, feels timeless and eternal. The air is cool and still, carrying only the faintest echoes of the day's activities, now long gone. As the novice enters the long corridor leading to the inner sanctum, the silence is almost tangible, pressing gently against her skin. The stone walls, ancient and weathered, seem to hum with the history of countless souls who have passed through this very place. Her footsteps, muffled by the thick, worn carpet that lines the floor, are the only sound that breaks the stillness. She wears the plain, somber robes of a silent sister, the fabric a deep shade of midnight blue, as if made to blend seamlessly with the shadows around her. In her hands she carries a small bundle of cloth, a simple, soft cloth used to wash the deceased. The first room she enters is modest, lit by a few faint candles casting soft, dancing shadows on the walls. In the center, an altar is set with offerings, but her focus is on the table to the side. Upon it rests a body, draped in a simple white cloth. The dead, prepared for their final journey, have no name in this room, only the act of respectful preparation, carried out without ceremony. The novice kneels beside the table, the coolness of the stone floor pressing against her knees. She reaches for the bowl of water beside her, the water still and clear. She dips the cloth into the bowl, feeling the coolness of the water seep into the fabric. The rhythmic sound of the cloth being wrung out is soft, barely audible. Slowly she begins her task, gently wiping the body, cleansing it for its journey into the afterlife. Each movement is deliberate, slow, and filled with reverence. The novice's hands move with care, tenderly passing over the body, as though she can somehow offer a final comfort in these last moments. There is no rush, no need to hurry. Time moves differently in the Great September, where life and death intertwine in peaceful balance. She works in quiet solitude, alone with the body and the soft, steady rhythm of her task. As she works, her mind drifts, not to the troubled world outside, but to the peace that comes with this sacred duty. She does not think of politics or power, nor does she ponder the battles fought on the streets of King's Landing. Instead, she reflects on the simplicity of her role. She is a caretaker, a guide for those who have passed into the unknown, and there is something profoundly calming about that. In this moment, she is the bridge between the living and the dead, the living world and the next. The stillness in the room is palpable, filled only with the soft sound of the novice's breath, her hands, and the water as it gently touches the body. There is peace here, peace that is not disturbed by the noise of the world. In the heart of King's Landing, Within the walls of the Great September, life continues its slow, quiet march, and death is but another part of that journey. As she finishes her task, the novice stands, looking down at the body with quiet respect. The task is simple, but it is sacred. She moves to gather more cloth, preparing the body for its final wrapping. Her movements are measured, each one purposeful and exact, ensuring that every detail is attended to with care. In these small acts, she finds a deep sense of fulfillment, a quiet, humbling peace that cannot be found in the turmoil of the world outside. As the novice wraps the body in the clean cloth, her fingers move with quiet precision, folding the fabric gently around the form before securing it in place. There is no haste, only a steady rhythm as she ensures that the body is properly prepared for its journey. The cloth is soft, yet strong, its texture comforting in its simplicity. She feels the weight of the task, the solemnity of the ritual grounding her, filling her with a sense of duty. The room is serene, the only light now coming from the few candles scattered about the table. Their flames flicker gently, casting soft shadows that stretch across the stone floor. The flickering light dances on the edges of the novice's face, her features calm, focused, her expression thoughtful. There is no sadness in her eyes, only quiet determination and reverence for the work she is entrusted with. After the final fold of the cloth is placed, she pauses. For a moment, there is silence, a quiet space where the room seems to breathe with her. She stands still, hands at her sides, as if she too, in her own way, is participating in the peaceful pause between life and death. The world outside may continue, but here, in this sacred space, time feels suspended. The novice gently steps back from the table, her hands now empty, the weight of her task still lingering on her fingers. She takes a deep breath, filling her lungs with the cool, dry air of the September. There is a sense of completion in this small, yet profound act, a reminder of the cycle that never ceases. The body rests now, waiting for the next step of its journey. It is no longer a part of the bustling world outside, but a quiet guest in this sacred space, awaiting the final rites. With quiet grace, the novice moves to the far corner of the room, where a small altar stands. Upon the altar are offerings, simple, humble, yet full of meaning. The flickering flames of the candles cast a warm glow upon the offerings, illuminating them in a soft, golden light. The novice bows her head in quiet respect before gathering a few more supplies, candles, incense, and the small vial of sacred oils she has prepared for the next part of the ritual. She moves back to the body, placing the candles around it in a careful arrangement, each one positioned just so. The act is simple, but there is a deep reverence in the way she places them, carefully, mindfully, as if each candle will serve as a guiding light for the soul's journey. She lights the first candle, watching the flame grow steady and strong, then moves to the next. The soft hiss of the flame igniting is a gentle sound, almost soothing in its consistency. With each candle lit, the room becomes warmer, the soft glow spreading slowly, filling the space with a peaceful light. The novice's movements are slow, deliberate, each step measured, each flicker of flame a reminder of the light that guides the departed. The silence around her is enveloping, filled only with the soft crackling of the candles and the quiet stillness of the September. She steps back, gazing at her work. The body now lies in peaceful stillness, the candles casting their gentle light upon it, a calm presence in the midst of a world filled with noise and turmoil. For this moment, there is nothing else but the gentle glow, the quiet, and the sense that something sacred has been done. The novice takes a step back, her eyes lingering on the candles she has carefully arranged around the body. The soft glow from the flame seems to cast a halo, gently illuminating the features of the deceased in a quiet, reverent light. In the stillness of the room, there is a sense of finality, yet also peace. The work of the Silent Sisters is not in grand gestures or speeches. It is in these quiet, deliberate acts, performed with devotion and respect. She pauses, allowing herself a moment to simply be present in the room. The cool stone of the Great September feels steady beneath her feet, grounding her in the sacred silence. The flicker of the candles reflects in the polished stone floors, creating moving patterns of light and shadow. The soft scent of wax fills the air, mingling with the faint, earthy smell of the old stone walls. Time seems to slow here, in this sacred space, where the boundary between life and death feels like a whisper. As the novice stands in the midst of her work, the realization comes over her. The peace she feels is not only from the rituals she has performed, but from the solitude of the September itself. This sacred space, built for worship and devotion, carries with it a quiet wisdom. It is a place where the world's noise cannot reach, where the frantic pulse of life is softened and muted. Here, only the slow rhythm of time remains, measured not by hours or minutes, but by the gentle flicker of candlelight in the stillness of the space. She walks slowly around the body, her hands tracing the edges of the cloth with reverence. There is no need for words in this room, no need for anything beyond the ritual itself. Each act she performs is a quiet prayer, an offering to the dead, a reminder that they are cared for, even in their final moments. Her thoughts drift as she walks, her mind wandering to the many others who have passed through this same process. The faces, now forgotten by the world, whose lives were once filled with love, struggle, and joy. She wonders where they have gone, if the afterlife truly exists, or if they have simply become part of the dust and stone of this ancient city. The question is not one she expects an answer to, but it lingers nonetheless, a quiet curiosity about the fate of those who pass through her hands. As she moves, the light from the candles continues to shift, casting long shadows across the stone walls. She reaches for the vial of sacred oil she prepared earlier, opening it with a gentle twist of her wrist. The scent of the oil is subtle but calming, a mixture of herbs and ancient perfumes. She carefully anoints the forehead of the deceased, her fingers moving with the same deliberate care as they had when she prepared the body. With each drop of oil, she whispers a quiet prayer, though the words are not loud, nor even spoken. They are thoughts, fleeting and gentle, a silent offering of respect to the soul now leaving this world. The oil glistens on the skin, reflecting the candlelight in a soft, ethereal glow. The novice's actions are simple, but they are filled with a quiet, sacred energy, a moment of connection between the living and the dead. The silence of the room is almost overwhelming now. It is not an uncomfortable silence, but one that feels thick with history and meaning. The novice feels the weight of the tradition she is a part of, the generations of silent sisters who have come before her and carried out these same rituals with equal reverence and care. She feels both small and immense in this moment, small in the face of the vastness of time, yet immense in her role as a keeper of these rituals, a caretaker of the departed. With the final flicker of the last candle, the novice steps back and takes a slow, deep breath. Her task is complete. The room is now bathed in a warm, golden light, the candles casting their flickering shadows over the stone walls and the body laid out in peaceful repose. There is a stillness here that feels eternal, a quiet assurance that everything has been done properly, with care and reverence. The novice stands for a moment, just gazing at the scene before her. The body is now covered in the soft cloth, the candles encircling it like a silent vigil. The incense has been lit, filling the room with its delicate fragrance. The sacred oil has been applied, and the body is now ready for its final resting place. Everything is in its proper place, just as it should be. She reaches up and gently brushes a strand of hair from her face, feeling the coolness of the stone beneath her fingers. Her mind is calm, as it always is after completing such a ritual. There is no need for words in this space, no need for anything beyond the quiet contemplation of her task. This is the essence of her work, to care for the dead, to honor them in their final moments, and to create a peaceful space for them to rest. For a long moment, the novice simply stands there, allowing the stillness of the room to wash over her. The candlelight dances gently on the stone floors, casting soft shadows that seem to move with the rhythm of time. The faintest whisper of a breeze passes through the September, stirring the curtains of the tall windows, but even the air here seems to hold its breath. As she gazes at the body, her thoughts drift once again. She reflects on the quiet rituals of the Silent Sisters, how they have always worked in the shadows, away from the world's attention. Their task is not one that garners fame or recognition. It is a task of simplicity, yet one that is vital, an essential part of the great cycle of life and death. In this quiet, forgotten space, the Silent Sisters perform their duty. carrying out their sacred task with dignity and respect, though few know the extent of their work. She moves slowly to the far side of the room, where a large stone basin rests against the wall. There is no hurry in her steps. She walks with purpose, but with the calm assurance that time, for the moment, has slowed. She picks up a cloth and carefully wipes her hands, cleansing them from the work she has done. The water is cool and clean, refreshing her after the long ritual. The sound of the water, as she gently rubs her hands together, is soothing, adding to the serenity of the room. The novice glances one last time at the body, now surrounded by the soft glow of candlelight, and a deep sense of fulfillment settles over her. It is a quiet satisfaction that comes from knowing that her work has been done with care and reverence. No one may ever know the specifics of what has been done in this room, but that is not important. What matters is that the deceased has been honored, their journey given the respect it deserves. With her final task complete, the novice moves toward the door, her soft footsteps echoing lightly in the quiet hall. The flickering light from the candles reflects off the polished stone walls, casting long shadows behind her. As she steps into the hallway, the air feels different, still, cool, and peaceful, like the calm after a storm has passed. Outside, the quiet city of King's Landing sleeps, unaware of the ritual that has taken place within the walls of the Great September. Yet the novice knows that, in this moment, something sacred has been done. The body rests now, at peace, and so too does the September. She quietly closes the door behind her, leaving the room in its sacred silence. The Great September of Baelor stands still, as it has for centuries, its ancient stone walls holding secrets and echoes of countless rituals performed within. As the novice leaves the preparation room behind, she takes a slow, deliberate breath, the coolness of the air surrounding her as she makes her way deeper into the sanctum. The halls are quiet, and the flickering candlelight casts soft, wavering shadows along the stone floor. She enters a side chamber, one filled with rows upon rows of candles, hundreds of them, waiting to be lit. The air is thick with the faint, comforting scent of wax, mingling with the old, timeless aroma of the stone and incense. The room feels sacred in its stillness, like a place where the very air holds memories of those who have passed. Her footsteps echo softly in the quiet room as she walks towards a long wooden table, upon which the candles are arranged. There is no need to rush. Each step is measured, slow, and deliberate. The novice reaches for the first candle, a slender, white taper, and carefully places it in the brass holder. She picks up the long matchstick, striking it with a soft, sharp sound, and brings the flame to the wick. The first flicker of light catches and spreads slowly, casting a warm, golden glow around the room. The novice watches the flame for a moment, mesmerized by its dance. There is something peaceful about the flicker of a candle's flame, something that evokes both warmth and serenity. The task may be simple, but it is important. Each candle she lights is a prayer for the departed, a small offering of light to guide their souls through the afterlife. In a world filled with noise and turmoil, the light of these candles represents something pure, something eternal. She moves slowly from candle to candle, lighting them one by one. The soft hiss of the flame as it ignites is the only sound that fills the room. It is a soothing sound, one that blends seamlessly with the silence of the September. Each flicker of light seems to grow stronger, casting soft shadows that stretch and sway across the stone walls. The novice continues her work. Each flame she lights a small act of devotion, a quiet connection to the departed souls she tends to. As the candles burn, their light seems to fill the room with a sense of calm, a quiet peace that grows with each passing moment. The novice's hands move with grace, lighting each candle in the same deliberate, respectful manner. There is no hurry. The world outside may rush forward, but here, in this sacred space, time feels slower, more deliberate. Every act is performed with reverence, as if the very ritual of lighting the candles brings her closer to the departed souls she tends to. With each candle lit, the room grows warmer, the flickering flames reflecting off the stone walls and casting soft, moving shadows. The novice's movements are slow and thoughtful, each one an offering of respect to the dead. As the candles line the tables and altars, their light begins to blend, filling the room with a soft, golden glow that seems to hold the room in a quiet embrace. The novice pauses for a moment, standing in the center of the room. She looks around at the many candles now lit, their soft light flickering like tiny stars in the stillness. There is something comforting in the sight, a quiet reminder of the peace that comes with this sacred task. The world outside may be filled with noise and chaos, but in this room, in this moment, there is nothing but the soft glow of candlelight and the sense of duty fulfilled. The Great Sept of Baelor stands in solemn quiet, its stone walls absorbing the echoes of countless footsteps, prayers, and whispers from centuries past. Tonight, however, the halls are empty, save for the quiet figure of the novice moving through the cool air, her every step measured and slow. The ancient stones seem to hum with the weight of history, and the stillness here feels almost sacred, as though the very walls are holding their breath. The novice, dressed in the simple, muted robes of the silent sisters, walks through the corridors with a quiet grace, her footsteps barely audible against the smooth stone floors. Her mind is focused, each task before her unfolding in the soft rhythm of routine. She makes her way toward the candlelit chamber where her next ritual awaits. This room, like many others within the Great September, is built for a singular purpose, one that serves both the living and the dead with equal care, the lighting of candles for the departed. As she enters the room, the smell of wax and incense fills the air. The chamber is dimly lit by the few candles that still burn low in their holders. The soft glow of their flickering flames contrasts with the cold, still darkness that fills the corners of the room. The novice feels an overwhelming sense of peace as she steps further into the space, her presence so soft and quiet that it almost feels like she is part of the room itself. In the center of the chamber rests a long, wooden table lined with hundreds of empty candle holders. To the novice, this is a sacred task, lighting the candles to honor those who have passed. She knows the importance of this ritual, even though it is simple. Each flame that she ignites represents a prayer, a light to guide the soul of the deceased through the next phase of their journey, wherever that may lead. The candles are lined up in neat rows, awaiting their turn to be lit. The novice looks over the collection of wax, each piece identical in shape, each destined to hold the same purpose. She reaches for the first one, a slender white taper. As her fingers wrap around the cold wax, she feels the weight of the moment. Each candle she lights will join the many others that have been ignited in this very room for centuries. Some of the flames may have burned out long ago, but the ritual itself never ends. It is a quiet, constant thread that binds the living to the dead, the past to the present. The novice picks up a match from a small box nearby and strikes it with a quick motion. The sharp sound of the match igniting fills the room for a moment before the flame settles, soft and steady. She brings the lit match to the wick of the first candle. The flame touches the wax, and in an instant, the candle flickers to life. Its light is small but bright, a quiet beacon in the stillness of the room. The novice moves from candle to candle, her motions deliberate and calm. Each flicker of the flame seems to fill the room with warmth, though the air remains cool. The candles, now lit, cast their glow onto the stone walls, creating dancing shadows that move with the soft currents of air that flow through the chamber. The scent of burning wax mingles with the faint perfume of incense, filling the space with a sense of serenity. The novice's hands move slowly, never rushed, as if she is not merely lighting candles but offering each one as a tribute, an honor to the souls they represent. As the novice works, her thoughts drift to the importance of her task. It is not grand or dramatic. There are no speeches, no heroic deeds to be done. Her job is simple yet sacred. She is not the one who determines the fate of the deceased, but she plays a small part in guiding them. The flicker of each flame is a prayer, a moment of connection between the living and the dead. The novice wonders briefly if those who have passed know that their souls are being cared for. Perhaps they do not, but it does not matter. The ritual is what matters, the quiet reverence, the peaceful rhythm. She lights another candle, her fingers brushing against the cold wax before the flame flickers and dances in the dim room. The novice pauses to observe the flame for a moment. There is something comforting in its soft light, something that feels eternal. It is almost as if the candle's flame holds a piece of the soul of the departed, its warmth a reminder of the life that once was. She doesn't rush. she never rushes. The task itself is meditative, soothing, and steady. Each lighted wick is a small act of devotion, a reminder of the fragile nature of life and the importance of caring for those who have passed. The room fills with light, each new candle adding to the glow. The walls, once dark, now reflect the flickering light, and the shadows that once seemed vast and endless have softened into gentle, dancing forms. The novice moves methodically around the room, her actions so slow and deliberate that they become almost a prayer in themselves. She is not in a hurry. There is no rush. The September is timeless, its walls holding the secrets of the past and the rituals that have been repeated for centuries. As she finishes lighting the last candle on the far side of the room, she steps back and surveys her work. The candles now burn steadily, their flames casting a soft light over the stone floors and the altar where the deceased will rest. The room feels warmer now, the flickering light filling every corner, creating a space that is both sacred and serene. The novice takes a slow breath, her gaze moving over the candles she has lit. The ritual is complete for now. But the novice knows that this is not the end. The candles will burn for hours, their flames steady and unwavering, until they too are consumed by time. And when the last one goes out, another will be lit in its place. This, she thinks, is the true beauty of the task. It is not about one single candle, but the quiet, unbroken rhythm of lighting them, the steady flow of time, the act of honoring the dead in this simple, sacred way. The candles continue to burn steadily, their soft flames flickering in the stillness of the room. The novice stands in quiet contemplation for a moment, allowing the warmth from the candlelight to settle into her bones, her thoughts drifting with the quiet light. She has completed her task for the moment, but there is a deep peace that lingers in the air, filling the chamber with a gentle comfort. She walks slowly, her feet barely making a sound on the cool stone floor, as she approaches the large, intricately carved altar that stands at the far end of the room. The altar is covered with offerings, small trinkets, coins, and simple symbols of reverence for the dead. Each object represents a prayer, a wish, or a memory left behind. The novice runs her fingers lightly over the offerings, her touch gentle and respectful, as she pauses to take in the quiet beauty of the space she is in. The altar, much like the candles, serves as a reminder of the delicate balance between life and death. The objects here are not grand, but they are deeply personal. Some of the trinkets have been left by family members, others by friends, each item a small token of love and remembrance. The novice knows that in this space, there are no distinctions between those who have passed, no matter their status or wealth in life. They are all treated with the same reverence, their souls cared for with equal respect. As the novice watches the candles burn, she finds herself reflecting on the fragility of life. It is a thought she has often had, but it always feels different in this space. Here, surrounded by the soft glow of the flickering flames, the idea of mortality takes on a new meaning. There is peace in this room, not the kind that comes from avoiding death, but the kind that comes from accepting it. It is a natural part of the cycle, the novice reminds herself. The living will one day join the dead, and the dead will one day join the earth. The candles, like life itself, burn for a time and then fade away, leaving only the memory of the light behind. The novice sighs softly, her breath a quiet whisper in the otherwise still room. She reaches for another offering on the altar, a small, worn wooden figurine that has been carefully placed there. It is a simple object, carved with great care but no great artistry. She holds it in her palm, turning it over gently as she considers its meaning. Perhaps it was carved by a loved one, a token to remind the deceased of their family or home. Or perhaps it is a symbol of something deeper, a reminder of the sacredness of life, the way it passes, and the way it is remembered. After a moment of contemplation, the novice places the figurine back on the altar, carefully positioning it among the other offerings. She then moves to the far side of the room, where a small table is set with an arrangement of fresh flowers. The flowers, vibrant and full of life, seem to stand in stark contrast to the quiet stillness of the room. Their bright colors and sweet scent fill the space with a reminder of the living world outside, a world that continues to turn even as the dead rest here in peace. The novice picks up a few of the flowers, their stems firm in her hands. She arranges them delicately in a small vase, making sure each bloom faces toward the light of the candles. There is something deeply soothing about this task, about creating something beautiful in the midst of such quiet and calm. She knows the flowers will not last forever. Like everything, they too will eventually wither and fade, but for now, they are a reminder of the beauty that life holds, and the way it continues to bloom, even in the face of death. She steps back, admiring her work. The flowers sit in the vase, a burst of color among the otherwise neutral tones of the room. They are simple, humble, yet full of life. The novice can't help but smile softly at the sight, finding comfort in the vibrant display of life. The flowers are, in a sense, a final tribute to the deceased, an offering of beauty and light in the face of the inevitable darkness of death. As the novice gazes around the room, her eyes land once more on the many candles she has lit. The room now feels alive with their soft glow, their flames flickering in unison, casting gentle shadows on the walls. She moves quietly through the space, her hands tracing the edge of one of the altars, her mind calm, her body steady. The soft sound of her breath fills the room, and for a moment, it seems as though even time itself has slowed to match her tranquil pace. She has completed the ritual for the night, but she knows the work of the Silent Sisters is never truly done. There is always more to do, more to tend to, more souls to guide. As she turns toward the door to leave the chamber, the novice feels a sense of peace wash over her. The candles will continue to burn through the night, their soft light keeping watch over the dead. The flowers will eventually fade, but the memory of them will remain, a quiet token of life amid the stillness. And the novice, though she will leave this room, knows that she will return tomorrow, just as she has done countless times before. The work is never finished, but that is not something she fears. There is beauty in the rhythm of it, in the peaceful cycle of life and death, light and dark. The novice pauses at the door, her fingers grazing the cool stone of the frame as she prepares to leave the candlelit chamber behind. The soft glow of the hundreds of lit candles seems to follow her as she exits, casting gentle shadows against the walls and floor. She closes the door slowly, letting the peaceful light remain within the room while she steps back into the quiet corridors of the Great September. The air outside the chamber is cooler, and the hallways are even more silent, the deep shadows of the stone walls stretching as far as the eye can see. The faint scent of incense lingers in her clothes, mingling with the natural musk of the stone. Her breath seems to match the rhythm of the soft flickering flames she has left behind, a slow, steady pulse in the quiet night. The novice walks without haste, her steps quiet and deliberate. The corridors of the September wind through the heart of the city, hidden from the chaos of King's Landing. Here, there is no rush, only the steady, unbroken pace of time moving forward. The walls seem to close in around her, embracing her in their ancient stillness. There is comfort in this space, in the solitude that it provides. She passes through the long halls, occasionally glancing into the small rooms that line the way. Each chamber holds its own quiet reverence. Some are filled with simple altars, others with sacred relics, and some are left empty for those who seek quiet reflection. The novice often finds herself wandering these halls between rituals, her footsteps echoing in the silence. Tonight, however, there is a particular stillness to the air, a calm that seems to settle deeper in the stone with every step she takes. She reaches a small alcove, tucked away in the far corner of the September, a place where the light of the candles never quite reaches, and where the shadows are especially thick. This is a place the novice comes to when she needs a moment to reflect, away from the solemn rituals of the temple. In the quiet of this alcove, she can forget the weight of her role for a brief moment, though, even here, she cannot escape the purpose of her existence. The alcove holds a single chair, worn but comfortable, and a small table set against the wall. There is nothing extraordinary about the space, but it is hers for these fleeting moments of respite. She sits in the chair and exhales deeply, the quiet peace of the room settling into her bones. Outside the alcove, the dim light from the corridors spills in, creating soft patterns across the stone floor. The flickering of distant candles catches her eye, their light shifting gently in the breeze. It is a quiet beauty, one that does not demand attention but offers comfort in its simplicity. The novice knows the world outside these walls is filled with noise, with conflict and politics. But here, in the Great September, there is only the gentle rhythm of life, slow, steady, uninterrupted. She leans back in the chair, allowing her mind to wander as her body rests. The flickering lights from the candles feel like a lullaby, their soft glow lulling her into a deeper sense of peace. The silence here is not lonely, though it may seem so to those who do not understand it. To the novice, it is a gentle companion, one that soothes and calms her mind, allowing her to reflect on the purpose of her work. She thinks of the candles she has lit, the warmth of their flames offering guidance to the departed. The ritual, though simple, is a moment of connection between the living and the dead, between the earthly world and the realm beyond. She wonders, briefly, if the souls of the departed can feel the warmth of the flames she lights for them, or if it is merely a symbol, a gesture of respect in an otherwise chaotic world. But then, she remembers that it doesn't matter. The ritual itself is sacred, regardless of what the soul may or may not feel. In this space, everything has meaning. Her mind drifts further as she contemplates the cycle of life and death. The dead may be gone from the world of the living, but their memory remains. The candles she lights tonight will eventually burn down to nothing, but their light will linger in the hearts of those who remember. In this way, the dead are never truly gone. They live on in the memories, in the rituals, in the simple acts of reverence performed by those who remain. The novice exhales again, her body relaxing further into the chair. She knows that there is always more to be done. More souls to guide, more candles to light, more rituals to perform. But for now, in this moment, she allows herself the space to rest, to simply exist without the weight of her duties pressing on her. The novice stays in the alcove for a while longer, her thoughts quiet and peaceful, the flickering candlelight casting soft shadows across the walls. She could sit here for hours, lost in the stillness of the moment, but she knows that the work of the Silent Sisters never truly ends. The dead need their candles, the rituals must continue, and she cannot remain in solitude forever. With a slow, measured breath, she stands from the chair, her limbs stiff from the stillness, and steps back into the cold, empty hallways of the September. The sound of her footsteps echoes softly in the quiet corridors, a reminder that time, though slowed in the sacred space, continues its unyielding march. She moves back toward the candlelit chamber, where the light of the many candles she has lit still burns steadily. The soft glow has a calming effect on her, and as she steps into the room, she feels a sense of contentment. This is what she was born to do, this quiet, constant care for the departed, a responsibility she accepts without question. The novice walks slowly through the rows of candles, her fingers brushing the flickering flames as she passes. Each candle burns brightly, their warm light filling the room and pushing back the darkness that lingers in the corners. The scent of wax and incense fills the air, creating a heady, comforting atmosphere. She stops before the final candle, taking a moment to admire its steady flame before reaching out and gently adjusting its position. It is a small act, but one that completes the ritual, ensuring that everything is in its proper place. She moves to the table, where the remnants of the offerings are scattered. A few flowers have wilted, their petals falling softly to the tablecloth. The novice carefully collects the dead flowers, placing them into a small basket beside the altar. The flowers, though faded, are not discarded thoughtlessly. They are still a part of the ritual, their life and beauty honored even in their fading state. The novice treats them with respect, understanding that all things, like the flames of the candles, must eventually burn down and fade, but their importance never truly diminishes. Once the table is cleared, she gathers the basket of wilted flowers and makes her way back through the long halls of the September, her steps slow and deliberate. The moonlight streaming in from the high windows casts a pale glow on the stone floors, giving the corridors a ghostly quality. The novice is undisturbed by the silence. It has become a part of her, as natural as the air she breathes. She passes the chambers that are often used by the more senior Silent Sisters, where their soft murmurs and quiet footsteps echo faintly through the halls. But tonight there is no one around to speak, just the faint sound of her own breathing and the rhythm of her steps. As she reaches the back of the September, she finds a small garden, hidden behind the walls of the temple, a quiet sanctuary of sorts. This is where the flowers, both the freshly picked ones and those that have already begun to fade, are returned. She kneels at the edge of a small patch of earth, placing the wilted blooms gently into the soil. The ground is cool and soft beneath her fingers, and as she buries the flowers, she feels a sense of peace, knowing that even in death, there is a place for these humble offerings to rest. After a brief moment, she rises to her feet, her work complete for the night. The flowers have been laid to rest, and the candles continue to burn, their light a steady reminder of the souls they guide. The novice lingers for a moment in the garden, looking up at the stars above, their faint light twinkling through the branches of the trees. The quiet of the night feels like a balm to her soul, and for the first time that evening, she allows herself a moment of deep reflection. The world outside the September continues to turn, but here, within these ancient walls, there is only peace. The dead rest, the candles burn, and life continues in its slow, steady rhythm. The novice's role in this cycle is clear. She is a caretaker, a keeper of sacred rituals, and though her tasks may seem small to those who do not understand their significance, they are a vital part of the larger story of life and death. She turns to leave the garden, stepping back into the quiet halls of the September. Her heart is light, her mind clear. She has done her duty, and she knows that tomorrow, the ritual will continue. For now, she will return to her quiet chambers, to rest and prepare for the next night's tasks. There is no urgency, no need to hurry. Time moves in its own way within these walls, unhurried and steady, and the novice finds comfort in that rhythm. As she walks back through the halls, the flickering candlelight still bright in her mind, she reflects on the simplicity of the life she leads. There is beauty in this quiet work, in the steady cycle of rituals and care. And though the world outside may be filled with noise and chaos, here in the Great Sept of Baelor, there is only peace. The night deepens over King's Landing, the city's restless hum fading as the shadows stretch long across the stone streets. The moon, a pale crescent in the night sky, bathes the Great Sept of Baelor in a quiet, silver light. Inside the hallowed halls of the temple, the air is cool and still, a peace that only the deepest hours of the night can bring. The last whispers of the day have long since faded, leaving only the occasional creak of the ancient structure as it settles into the stillness of the night. The novice moves through the dark corridors with a quiet step, the sound of her feet barely audible against the stone. Her robes rustle softly as she walks, the only indication that someone else is present in this vast and empty space. The walls of the September stretch high above her, their cold, weathered surfaces holding the weight of centuries of history. There's a strange comfort in this solitude, a feeling that she is part of something ancient, something that stretches far beyond the present. She makes her way down a long corridor, the dim light from the flickering candles in the distant chambers casting shadows across the floor. The air smells faintly of incense and old stone, a scent that has become familiar over the months she has spent within these walls. The quiet is soothing, almost meditative, and as she walks, her thoughts drift. There is something sacred about this time of night, something different from the bustle of the daytime. The September feels alive in its own way, though not with the voices of the living. No, here in the darkened halls, the silence is its own presence, thick, heavy, yet not oppressive. It feels as though the walls themselves are holding their breath, waiting for something, or perhaps nothing at all. Time moves differently in the Great September. The hours stretch on, each moment felt with a depth that is hard to explain, as if the weight of eternity hangs within these walls. The novice reaches the central hall, where the large, empty space opens before her. Here, the silence is even more pronounced. This is the heart of the September, the place where the faithful once gathered in prayer, where the clamor of their voices filled the air. But now, it is a space untouched by noise, its stone floors polished by the passage of time and the feet of those long gone. The only sound is the soft, rhythmic echo of the novice's footsteps as they reverberate in the vastness of the hall. She pauses in the center of the room, allowing the silence to wash over her. It is a peaceful silence, one that holds no judgment and offers no answer. The world outside may be filled with turmoil, but here, there is only stillness. The novice closes her eyes for a moment, feeling the cool air around her, letting it fill her lungs as she takes in the depth of the peace that surrounds her. In this moment, the weight of her responsibilities feels lighter. There are no demands, no expectations, just the quiet, steady rhythm of her work, carried out in the shadows of the September. She is here to honor the dead, to guide them in their final moments. But this space, this silence, reminds her that there is more to life than the constant rush of the outside world. Here, in the heart of the September, time moves at its own pace, unhurried, unfazed by the chaos of the living. Her thoughts drift as she stands still in the center of the hall. The Great September, though vast and imposing, feels like a refuge. In this sacred space, where no voice rises above the others, where no hurry is felt, she finds a deep sense of belonging. It is as though the weight of the world has been left behind, and only the peace of the temple remains. The novice breathes deeply again, and when she opens her eyes, the soft glow of the candles catches her attention once more. Their flames flicker in the distance, their light casting gentle shadows across the floor. Slowly, she begins to walk again, her footsteps echoing softly in the emptiness as she heads toward the altar at the far end of the hall. Here, as she kneels before the altar, the novice feels the weight of centuries resting on her shoulders. The candles, still burning steadily, light the way for the souls of the departed. The soft glow of their flames dances in the air, a silent guide for those who have passed from the world of the living. It is in this space, this sacred hall, bathed in candlelight, that the novice is reminded of the impermanence of life, of the quiet passage from one round to the next. As she carefully arranges the candles on the altar, she reflects on the nature of her work. There is no grand ceremony here, no fanfare or pomp. Instead, there is only this: the quiet lighting of candles, the slow, reverent steps taken in the silence of the September, the unhurried rituals that bind the living and the dead. And in this quiet work, there is peace. The novice takes a deep breath, the flickering candlelight casting its glow on her face as she continues her task. Each movement is slow, deliberate, as though she is marking the passage of time itself. The silence in the hall, though heavy, is not uncomfortable. It is a silence that allows her to reflect on the deeper meaning of her role, on the way the dead are honored and the way their memory is kept alive in this quiet space. The novice finishes arranging the candles on the altar, their steady light casting a soft, golden glow on the stone around her. The stillness of the room is broken only by the faint flicker of the flames, each one a small prayer for the departed, a beacon in the darkness. She steps back, her movements slow and graceful, as if giving each candle its moment to shine. The glow of the light seems to fill the room, pushing away the shadows and creating a warmth that contrasts with the cool, ancient stone of the hall. She stands in silence for a moment, her hands folded neatly before her, her gaze lingering on the flames. There is something deeply calming about the simplicity of this task, the gentle, almost rhythmic act of lighting the candles, one by one, in quiet devotion. In the heart of this sacred space, where the world outside seems distant and unimportant, the novice finds a rare peace, one that does not come from external noise or distraction, but from the quiet work she performs, from the stillness of the hall that envelopes her. As she turns to leave the altar, she moves carefully, her steps light and deliberate. The silence of the September wraps around her like a comforting cloak. It is a silence that has witnessed generations of those who came before her, each one lighting candles, offering prayers, performing rituals to honor the dead. The walls of the September are steeped in the weight of these countless moments, and yet, it feels as though time itself has slowed within these halls. The novice walks slowly back through the central hall, her eyes taking in the rows of candles that continue to burn steadily along the altar. The sound of her footsteps is muffled by the thick stone, the quietness of the space making even the smallest movement feel profound. The soft light from the candles reflects off the stone floors, casting their gentle glow on the walls as she passes. She reaches the far end of the hall, where a small wooden door leads to a narrow staircase that ascends to a higher level. This part of the September is rarely visited, a place where few go unless they have specific duties to attend to. It is here that the novice feels the quietest, away from the bustle of the temple's main chambers. The higher levels are more isolated, and though the air is thinner and cooler, it is also more peaceful, more intimate. The novice ascends the staircase, each step creaking softly beneath her feet. As she reaches the top, the sound of her footsteps is swallowed by the stone walls, and she finds herself in a long, narrow corridor. The ceiling is low, the stone walls damp and covered with a faint moss that grows in the shadows. The faint light from the candles below casts a soft, muted glow through the open windows, but the hall remains relatively dark. This is a place for solitude, and the novice often comes here when she needs a quiet space to think, away from the expectations of others. She walks slowly down the hall, her fingers brushing against the cold stone as she passes. The air feels different up here, thinner, quieter, almost as if the weight of the September has become more apparent the higher she climbs. Here, in this upper level, there is a sense of distance from the outside world. The sounds of King's Landing feel faint and distant, as if they belong to a different world. In this space, the only sounds are those of her own breath and the quiet movement of the air. The novice stops at a small window at the end of the hall, looking out over the city. The view is unobstructed, offering a clear sight of the darkened streets below, the faint glow of lanterns dotting the city like distant stars. The quiet of the city, much like the stillness of the September, is a welcome contrast to the chaos that often fills the streets during the day. Here, in the quiet of the night, the city feels almost peaceful, as if time has slowed and the weight of the world has temporarily lifted. She leans against the cool stone of the window frame, her gaze fixed on the city below. There is a certain comfort in the silence of the night, in the way everything seems to hold its breath. The world outside continues to spin, but in this moment, the novice is allowed to simply exist, to be still. There is no need to rush, no pressing urgency to return to her duties just yet. For now, she is content to simply watch the city below, her thoughts quiet and unfocused, allowing the stillness to soothe her. In this moment of solitude, the novice reflects on her life within the September. Her role is small, her tasks simple, but they are important. She is a caretaker of the dead, a guide for those who have passed from the world of the living. She does not seek recognition or praise, but instead finds fulfillment in the quiet work that she does. The flickering of the candles, the solemn prayers, the care for the deceased, all of it is an offering of devotion, a small but meaningful contribution to the greater tapestry of life and death. The novice takes a deep breath, letting the quiet of the night fill her lungs. As she exhales, she feels a sense of peace settle over her, the weight of her duties momentarily lifted. The stillness of the night offers her a rare clarity, a chance to pause and reflect without distraction. It is in these moments that she feels most connected to the temple, to the work she does, and to the deeper purpose that guides her. The novice stands in silence, gazing out at the city below, her thoughts drifting with the quiet rhythm of the night. The lights from King's Landing sparkle in the distance, a soft glow that contrasts with the darkness of the empty streets. It's as though the city breathes on its own, full of life yet distant, separated by the stillness of the night. Here, high above it all, the noise of the bustling city feels like a faint echo, a world far removed from the serene silence of the Great September. She breathes deeply, letting the cool air fill her lungs, before turning away from the window. The peaceful solitude that has surrounded her begins to feel like a temporary reprieve. There is work to be done, rituals that require her attention. Though the silence in the upper halls has been a refuge, it cannot last forever. She knows this space is not hers to keep, but rather a place to briefly step away, a space for rest before she returns to the duties that fill her days. The novice moves back down the narrow corridor, her footsteps soft against the stone, and then retraces her steps toward the staircase. The walls seem to close in around her again as she descends, the silence of the upper floors giving way to the hum of the temple's quieter chambers below. The weight of the building, of its age and its purpose, presses lightly against her as she continues her path, her robes flowing with each measured step. As she reaches the lower hall once more, the space feels different now. The soft glow of the candles still burns steadily, but there is a slight shift in the air, as though the energy of the place has subtly changed. Perhaps it is the time of night, the quiet hours when all is still, or perhaps it is simply the weight of the hours spent in reflection. Whatever the cause, the novice feels a renewed sense of peace as she walks deeper into the heart of the September. In the distance, she can hear the faintest sound, an almost imperceptible rustling from one of the smaller chambers. It is not a sound of disturbance, but rather the gentle hum of the temple's quiet activity. The novice follows the sound, her curiosity piqued, and soon she arrives at a small, dimly lit room tucked away in the corner of the September. This room is used for solitary reflection, a place where the silent sisters can gather their thoughts or rest between their duties. Inside, she finds a fellow sister seated in quiet contemplation. The woman is older, her face marked with the lines of many years, and she is dressed in the same simple robes as the novice. Her head is bowed, her hands folded in her lap, and her gaze is focused on a small, flickering candle that sits in front of her. There is no conversation, no acknowledgement of the novice's presence at first, only the shared silence between them. The novice steps into the room, careful not to disturb the peaceful atmosphere. She moves quietly to a small wooden chair by the wall, seating herself in the shadowed corner. Though she has work to do, she knows that this is a moment for quiet reflection, and so she waits, letting the silence wrap around her once more. The older sister does not speak, but the novice can sense a kind of knowing in the stillness between them. It is as if the room itself holds a shared understanding of the duties they both perform, a silent recognition that the work they do is not always seen, but it is essential. The candle flickers softly between them, its light casting small, wavering shadows on the stone walls. There is no rush, no need for words, only the quiet comfort of knowing that they are both part of something larger, something timeless. Time passes in this way, slow and steady, as they both sit in silence, each lost in their own thoughts. The novice reflects on the work she has done today, the candles she has lit, the prayers she has said, and the care she has given to the departed. It is a quiet, humble task, but it is one that brings her a sense of purpose, of belonging. In the heart of the Great September, she is part of something greater, something that stretches beyond the walls of the temple and into the very essence of life and death itself. As the silence stretches on, the novice feels her mind clear. There is something about this quiet work, this unhurried pace of life, that allows her to see the world differently. It is not the grand gestures of life that matter, she realizes, but the small acts of care, the quiet moments of reflection. The candles, the prayers, the time spent in contemplation, these are the things that make up the rhythm of her life. The older sister shifts slightly, breaking the stillness between them. She looks up, her eyes meeting the novice's with a soft understanding. There is no need for words between them, the silence speaks for itself. The novice nods in return, a gesture of respect for the time they have shared, and slowly, the older sister rises from her seat, signaling the end of their shared moment of quiet. The novice follows suit, standing and straightening her robes. She feels a deep sense of calm within her, a quiet peace that lingers in the air. The time spent in the stillness of the room has renewed her spirit, allowing her to return to her duties with a clearer mind and a lighter heart. She leaves the small room, stepping back into the quiet halls of the Great September. The night is still young, and there is more work to be done. But for now, the novice feels ready. The silence of the halls has given her a moment of respite, and now, as the faint light of dawn begins to seep into the edges of the temple, she is prepared to continue her work, carrying the peace of this moment with her as she moves forward. As the novice exits the small room, the quiet solitude of the halls once again envelopes her. The air feels cooler now, the early hours of the morning creeping into the temple, bringing with them a sense of calm that only the soft light of dawn can provide. The faint hum of life outside the walls of the September is barely audible, as though the city itself has fallen into a peaceful slumber. Inside the Great September, the air is thick with the weight of history, and the silence seems to stretch even longer now, as if time itself is taking a deep breath before continuing its slow, steady march. She moves slowly through the corridor, her footsteps barely a whisper against the stone floor. The flickering candles she has arranged earlier still burn steadily, their flames dancing in the soft draft of the September's chambers. The novice takes a moment to pause, standing before one of the candles, watching the flame as it flickers, casting shadows on the stone walls. There is something meditative about the way the light moves, a slow rhythm that mirrors her own thoughts, steady and unhurried. She steps forward again, her mind clear, her heart steady. The silence that surrounds her is comforting now, no longer a reminder of isolation but a space in which she can center herself, reflecting on the sacredness of her work. The halls of the September are empty, save for the occasional passing of a fellow sister, each of them silently tending to their own duties. There is no rush, no hurry, only the steady flow of time as it moves through the quiet spaces of the temple. The novice reaches the end of the hall, where a small wooden door leads to the garden at the rear of the September. This garden, a simple yet sacred space, is where she and the other silent sisters often come to tend to the flowers, to offer small prayers of thanks, or simply to find a moment of peace amidst the ever-present cycle of life and death. It is a place of quiet reflection, where the bustle of the outside world feels like a distant memory, replaced by the gentle sounds of rustling leaves and the soft hum of nature. She steps into the garden, the cool night air mingling with the fragrant scent of the flowers that bloom in the soft light of the moon. The plants seem to glow in the dim light, their leaves rustling in the light breeze that flows through the space. It is here, in the solitude of the garden, that the novice often finds solace. The garden is a symbol of the balance between life and death, a reminder that even in death, there is beauty, there is peace. She moves slowly through the rows of flowers, her hands gently brushing the leaves as she passes. There is no need to hurry here. The flowers have their own pace, their own rhythm, just as she does. She stops to kneel before a small patch of blooming roses, their petals soft and velvety, their fragrance filling the air. She reaches out and gently touches one of the blossoms, marveling at its delicate beauty. The roses, like all things in life, are fleeting. Their beauty will eventually fade, their petals falling to the ground as the seasons change. But for now, they bloom, a reminder that beauty can exist in the most transient of moments. The novice exhales softly, letting the peacefulness of the garden fill her heart. She stands and moves toward the stone bench near the far corner of the garden, a quiet place where the sisters sometimes sit to reflect, pray, or simply rest. The bench, like the rest of the garden, feels timeless. The stone is worn, smooth in places from years of use, but it holds the memories of countless moments spent in stillness. She sits on the bench, folding her hands in her lap as she gazes out at the garden. The world outside may continue to turn, but here, in the sanctuary of the garden, time seems to slow. The novice feels the weight of the night in her bones, but it is not a burden. It is the quiet weight of a life lived with purpose, of work done with reverence and care. In this space, she is reminded that life, though fleeting, is a series of small moments, each one sacred in its own way. The candles within the September continue to burn steadily, their light flickering like the pulse of the world, a steady heartbeat in the vast, unchanging silence of the temple. The novice knows that her work is far from over. There will be more bodies to prepare, more candles to light, more souls to guide. But for now, in this moment, she allows herself to rest. The silence of the garden surrounds her, and the peace it brings fills her with a quiet joy that is both simple and profound. As she rises from the bench and turns to leave the garden, the novice feels a sense of renewal. The stillness of the temple, the quiet rhythm of her duties, has given her the strength to continue. She moves slowly back into the halls of the September, her footsteps echoing softly as she returns to the heart of her work. The morning light begins to creep through the high windows of the September, casting long shadows on the stone floors. The candles, though still burning, seem to take on a softer glow in the daylight, their flames steady and serene. The novice pauses for a moment before she moves toward her next task. There is no need for haste. The day will unfold as it should, with time flowing as gently as the quiet air that fills the temple. The first rays of light slowly creep through the high windows of the Great Sept of Baelor, casting soft bands of gold across the cool stone floors. The temple, still wrapped in the silence of the night, begins to stir as the dawn breaks. The once faint echo of the night is replaced by the quiet hum of the waking city outside, yet within the walls of the September, the stillness remains. Here time moves in a way that is not bound to the frantic pace of the world beyond. The novice stands in one of the dimly lit chambers, her eyes closed as she breathes deeply. The air is cool and still, a calmness that feels almost sacred in its simplicity. The faint scent of incense lingers, mixing with the earthy scent of stone. She has already performed her rituals for the day, the lighting of the candles, the prayers offered to the dead. But there is a moment before she returns to the bustle of her duties when she finds herself standing in quiet reflection. Her hands are clasped before her thoughts slowing as she focuses on the sound of her breath. It is a steady, rhythmic sound that helps her find peace amidst the heavy stillness of the temple. In this sacred space, there is no rush, no urgency, only the soft passage of time. The novice is reminded of the slow, meditative nature of her work, the rituals that mark the quiet transition of life to death, the stillness that surrounds her as she performs each task with reverence and care. The world outside may be waking, the noise of King's Landing rising with the first light of day, but within the walls of the September, there is only the slow rhythm of devotion. The novice feels the weight of that silence, and in it, a deep sense of connection to the temple, to the work she does, and to the generations of silent sisters who have come before her. It is a connection that is silent yet powerful, a shared understanding of the sacredness of their duties. She opens her eyes, letting the quiet of the chamber settle in her bones. The day stretches ahead, and with it comes the next cycle of rituals. There will be more souls to care for, more candles to light, more prayers to offer. Yet in this moment, the novice allows herself a brief respite. The stillness of the temple offers her a chance to center herself before the work begins anew. The sound of soft footsteps interrupts the silence. Another sister enters the chamber, her presence a quiet, comforting reminder that the temple is never truly empty. The sister moves toward a small altar at the far end of the room, her steps unhurried, just as the novice's had been moments before. She, too, performs her duties in silence, the same reverent rhythm that marks the novice's own work. The novice watches her for a moment, then turns her attention back to the altar before her. The quiet exchange between the two sisters is a reminder of the shared purpose that binds them. There are no words exchanged, no need for them. The work they do is spoken through action, through the care they give to the dead, through the quiet rituals that shape their lives. In a world full of noise and chaos, this silent devotion is their only constant. With a final glance at the altar, the novice stands, preparing herself to return to the halls of the September. She feels the weight of the day ahead pressing gently against her shoulders. There are tasks yet to be completed, candles to be lit, prayers to be said, but there is no hurry. The work will be done, as it always is, in its own time. As she steps into the hall, the morning light streams through the tall windows, illuminating the stone floors in warm, golden light. The flickering candles from the previous night have burned down to stubs, their light now fading, but the glow of the new day brings with it a sense of quiet renewal. The novice moves forward, her steps slow and deliberate, her heart calm and steady. The passage of time continues its steady course, but within the walls of the Great September, the rhythm remains the same, a gentle, unbroken flow. The novice moves through the hallways of the Great September with quiet purpose, her footsteps barely audible against the smooth, worn stone floors. The faint light of morning continues to spread across the chambers, casting soft, golden hues that filter through the high windows. The temple is still, but there is a subtle shift in the air. The stillness now carries a sense of anticipation, a knowing that the day is beginning, though it has yet to fully unfold. As she walks, her thoughts linger on the rituals of the day that lie ahead. There is always more to do. The preparation of bodies, the lighting of candles, the offering of prayers, all of it is part of the unending cycle she has embraced since becoming a silent sister. Yet today feels different. The weight of the temple's quietness seems more pronounced, its presence deeper, as if the very walls are reflecting her thoughts, urging her to embrace the stillness with the same reverence she holds for the work she does. The novice enters one of the smaller chambers of the September, a room with a single, simple altar adorned with fresh flowers and a few flickering candles. Here, the air is heavy with the scent of the flowers, roses, lilacs, and white lilies, their fragrance mixing with the earthy undertones of the stone. The room is peaceful, the light from the candles casting gentle shadows across the floor. The novice stands still for a moment, taking in the calm beauty of the space. This is a place she often visits between her rituals, a space where she can pause and reflect, a space that offers a brief but important respite. It is here that she allows herself to simply be. No task to complete, no soul to tend to, just a quiet moment to sit, to breathe, to center herself in the sacredness of her duties. She kneels before the altar, her hands folding together in front of her. The silence in the room feels different here, less heavy, more filled with a quiet comfort. The flickering flames of the candles seem to dance in time with her breath, each movement a subtle reminder of the rhythm that governs life and death. The novice closes her eyes, allowing the peace of the room to wash over her. She feels a sense of connection to the temple, to the work she does, and to the countless others who have walked these halls before her. For a few moments, she simply sits in the silence, her body at rest, her mind calm. The outside world may be filled with the noise of life, of voices, of movement, of the chaos of the city, but here, in this room, there is only stillness. And within that stillness, she finds a deep, quiet joy. It is not the loud, triumphant joy of celebration, but the soft, steady joy of knowing that her work has meaning, that the small, quiet tasks she performs every day are part of something much greater. The novice stands after a time, her body moving fluidly, gracefully, as though the peace of the room has become a part of her. She takes a deep breath, the scent of the flowers filling her senses, and then slowly walks toward the door. Her hands brush the edge of the altar once more as she passes, offering a silent prayer of thanks for this moment of reflection, for this space of quiet within the temple. As she steps back into the hall, the weight of the temple's silence settles around her again, but it feels different now. She is no longer burdened by it, but comforted by it. The quiet, steady rhythm of her duties, the slow, deliberate nature of her work, these things are not a source of exhaustion, but of peace. It is in this peace that she finds her strength, her ability to continue, day after day, with grace and purpose. The novice moves through the hallways once more, her footsteps lighter than before. She feels more connected to the space around her, more grounded in the role she has chosen. The Great September, with its cold stone walls and its ancient rituals, is her home now. It is a place of quiet devotion, a place where time moves slower, more deliberately. It is a place where life and death are honored with equal reverence, and where the cycle of time continues, uninterrupted. She reaches the central hall once again, the flickering light from the candles casting long, soft shadows across the stone floor. The vastness of the hall seems almost overwhelming in its quietness, but the novice no longer feels small in its presence. Instead, she feels part of the rhythm, part of the eternal flow of time that stretches beyond her, beyond the walls of the temple, into the very fabric of existence. As she stands there, taking in the stillness of the hall, a quiet sense of fulfillment settles within her. She knows that, while the work she does may never be acknowledged by the outside world, it is important nonetheless. The light of the candles, the prayers for the dead, the steady rhythm of her actions, they are all part of a greater cycle, one that transcends the boundaries of time and space. The novice moves slowly through the great hall, her eyes drawn once more to the flickering candles that line the altars. The soft glow of their flames reflects off the stone walls, casting long, stretching shadows across the floor. Every corner of the September feels alive with the quiet dance of light and dark, the play of shadows marking the steady passage of time in a way that words could never capture. Each candle she has lit, each moment she has spent here, feels woven into the very fabric of this sacred space. She pauses near one of the altars, her gaze fixed on the soft, steady glow of the candles. There is something profoundly comforting about the simplicity of the scene. It is not grand or dramatic. It is humble and yet deeply moving. The novice places her hands in front of her, fingers gently brushing the cool stone of the altar as she bows her head in quiet reverence. The ritual has ended for now, but the stillness lingers, settling in her bones and filling her heart with a peace that is difficult to explain. Her mind drifts briefly to the world beyond these walls, the streets of King's Landing, where life unfolds in a constant, unyielding march. The city is full of noise, of movement, of lives rushing past one another. And yet here, within the walls of the September, the pace is slower, more deliberate. Time moves differently within these sacred halls. The novice often finds herself marveling at this difference. The way everything in the outside world seems to race forward, while here, every action, every breath, every prayer is measured and slow. It is a strange, beautiful contrast, one that has become more clear to her with each passing day. The world outside may be filled with noise and chaos, but within the September, there is a profound stillness that offers her clarity, purpose, and peace. It is in this stillness that she finds her sense of belonging, a connection to something much greater than herself. Her thoughts return to the tasks that lie ahead, the rituals to be performed, the prayers to be said. There is always more to do. The cycle of life and death never truly stops, and neither does her work. But for now, in this quiet moment, she allows herself a brief respite. The September is at peace, and so is she. There is no rush, no need for urgency. She has done her duty for the day, and now she allows herself to simply be. The soft sound of footsteps echoes from a distant hallway, breaking the silence, but she is not disturbed. It is a reminder that even in the stillness, life continues, quiet, unhurried, and ever-present. The novice straightens, taking a final moment to appreciate the calm that surrounds her before moving forward. She walks slowly, her pace unhurried, through the halls of the September. The quiet is enveloping, wrapping around her like a gentle cloak. She moves through the stone corridors, her steps light and measured, a part of the temple's rhythm. The shadows cast by the candles seem to dance along the walls, as if the very space around her is alive with the passage of time. There is no need to rush. Everything unfolds as it should, in its own time. Her journey takes her to the small chamber near the rear of the September, where the bodies of the departed are prepared for their final resting place. The work is solemn, but it is also sacred. Each ritual, each action, is part of the larger purpose she has embraced. The novice steps into the room, her presence barely felt, a quiet figure in the stillness. She moves through the chamber, checking the candles that have been lit, and ensuring that everything is in its proper place. As she works, her thoughts drift once again, though this time, they are not far from her task. There is a deep sense of reverence in the quiet motions of her work, each candle she adjusts, each prayer she offers, each body she tends to. It is all part of the same rhythm, the same eternal flow that marks the passage of time within the walls of the Great September. There is no rush here, no urgency. The candles burn steadily, the flames flickering gently in the quiet room. The novice watches them for a moment, her mind clear, her heart still. The world outside may be filled with noise and haste, but here, within the temple, there is only peace. The work she does, though simple, is deeply important. She is a part of something greater, a keeper of the rituals that have been passed down for generations. As she finishes her tasks, the novice steps back, taking a moment to admire the quiet order she has created. There is no fanfare, no recognition, but that is not the point. The point is the peace that has been brought to this space, the quiet reverence that fills the room. The novice bows her head in silent gratitude, acknowledging the importance of the work she has done, however small it may seem. She turns to leave, her steps light but purposeful. The work is never truly finished, but for now, it is done. As she exits the chamber and walks back through the quiet halls, she feels a deep sense of fulfillment. The weight of the day is not heavy. The stillness, the quiet, the steady rhythm of life and death, it all feels right. There is nothing more she could ask for than this. The novice walks through the quiet halls of the Great September, the soft glow of the morning light growing stronger as it filters through the high windows. The weight of the day, once pressing, now feels lighter with each passing moment. Her steps are slow, deliberate, as if she is allowing herself to savor the peace that surrounds her. The world outside may be stirring, but here, in the stillness of the temple, there is no rush, no urgency, only the quiet unfolding of time. She makes her way to the small chamber at the rear of the September, where a few of the silent sisters often gather in solitude, finding moments of reflection amidst their duties. The door creaks softly as she enters, and she finds the space empty, save for the soft glow of a candle flickering in the corner. The air is still, the only sound the occasional rustle of her robes as she moves toward the small wooden chair by the window. The novice pauses before sitting, taking a moment to observe the room. It is simple, as most chambers in the September are, just a few pieces of furniture, a table, and a chair or two. The window offers a view of the temple garden, the flowers gently swaying in the breeze as the soft light of morning bathes the space in a warm glow. It is a peaceful scene, one that mirrors the stillness she has come to cherish. She sits quietly by the window, her hands resting in her lap. The soft hum of life outside the walls of the September feels distant, almost like a dream. Here, in this quiet corner of the temple, there is only the sense of calm that fills the space. The novice closes her eyes, letting the silence settle around her. She feels the warmth of the sun on her face, the soft scent of the garden drifting through the open window. In this moment, there is nothing more. There is only peace. As she breathes in deeply, her thoughts turn inward. She reflects on the tasks of the day, on the work she has done, and the work that still lies ahead. The work of the Silent Sisters is not glamorous, nor is it often acknowledged by the world outside. But it is important, more important than anything else, for it is the quiet care for the dead that brings them peace, the steady rhythm of ritual that honors their memory. It is a simple, humble life, but one filled with deep meaning. The novice lets her mind drift, not to the tasks ahead, but to the meaning behind them. In a world filled with noise and chaos, it is the quiet acts of devotion that often have the greatest impact. The lighting of candles, the whisper of prayers, the soft care given to those who have passed. These are the moments that fill the silence with meaning. And it is in this silence that she finds her purpose. She opens her eyes, her gaze drawn once more to the window. The garden outside is alive with the soft sounds of nature, the rustling of leaves, the gentle hum of bees moving from flower to flower. It is a reminder that life continues, even in the quietest of places. The flowers bloom and fade, the seasons shift, but the rhythm of life remains constant. As the novice stands to leave the chamber, she feels a deep sense of fulfillment. The silence of the September has allowed her to reflect, to find peace in the simple acts of her work. She moves toward the door, her steps light and purposeful, ready to return to the tasks that await her. But there is no hurry. The work will be done, as it always is, in its own time. Stepping back into the hall, she feels the quiet embrace of the temple once more. The flickering candlelight, the stillness of the air, the weight of the centuries-old walls, all of it feels like a part of her now. She is not simply performing tasks. She is a part of the rhythm, a quiet thread woven into the fabric of the September's legacy. As the novice continues through the halls, she is aware of the sacredness of her role. She is here to honor the dead, to guide them on their journey, and in doing so, she helps to maintain the peace that the temple offers. It is not a role that seeks recognition, nor one that requires reward. The work is its own reward. The simple, quiet duty of lighting candles, offering prayers, and tending to the departed is enough. It is a life well lived, in its own way, and it is a life she has chosen with reverence and care. With a final, quiet breath, the novice steps toward the entrance of the temple, ready to continue her duties. The day ahead is filled with work, but there is no anxiety, no sense of burden. Only peace. And that peace is enough. The Great Sept of Baelor, once again bathed in the soft light of morning, stands still in the quiet rhythm of time. The novice walks slowly through its sacred halls, her mind at peace after the tasks of the day. The silence of the temple, the gentle flicker of the candles, the weight of the centuries-old stone, it all feels like a living, breathing entity. It is a place where time moves slowly, deliberately, unhurried by the chaos of the world outside. As she steps into the heart of the September, the novice takes a moment to breathe deeply, feeling the weight of her duty settle in her bones. Here, within these ancient walls, she is reminded that her work, though quiet, though unseen, is part of something much greater than herself. It is a work of reverence, a work of peace, a work that honors the cycle of life and death. And in the silence of the Great September, she finds her purpose. The world outside may continue to spin, filled with noise and haste, but here, in this sacred space, there is only the slow, steady passage of time. The candles burn brightly, each flame a prayer, each prayer a tribute to those who have passed. The novice moves from one task to the next, her movements slow and graceful, as if she is part of the very rhythm that governs this place. As the day draws to a close, the novice feels a deep sense of fulfillment. There is no need for accolades, no desire for recognition. The work is its own reward. She is a keeper of the rituals, a guide for the departed, a caretaker of the sacred space that the Great September provides. And in the quiet hum of the temple, in the steady rhythm of life and death, she finds peace. The last candle flickers gently, its light casting a warm, golden glow over the stone floors. The novice takes one final look around the Great September, a quiet smile crossing her lips. She has done her duty for the day, but she knows that the work never truly ends. The cycle continues, unbroken, and she is part of it. As she steps into the hallway, the flickering light of the candles follows her, and the silence of the Great September remains, a constant companion on her journey. And so, the cycle begins again,